What if you could know a stroke was coming, days or even weeks before it happened? Most people believe a stroke strikes like lightning, sudden, unpredictable, and devastating. One moment life is normal, the next it's changed forever. But the truth, the one that doctors know, is that for many people, the body sends silent alarms first. These aren't the dramatic, movie-like symptoms of crushing chest pain or sudden collapse. These are subtle, quiet, and tragically easy to ignore. Alarms that we are, in many ways, taught to dismiss. For those of us in our 60s, 70s, and 80s, we have a lifetime of explanations for these strange feelings. We call it a senior moment. We blame it on a pinched nerve or sleeping on it wrong. We say, oh, it's just getting older. This dismissal is dangerous because a stroke isn't always just a single event. For many, it's a process. A clot may be forming or a vessel weakening long before the final catastrophic break. And recognizing the start of that process, that is the key to survival, the key to a full recovery, the key to protecting your future. Today, we are revealing the 5 silent stroke warnings most people tragically ignore. These are not the BEAFST signs, balance, eyes, face, arms, speech, time, that signal a stroke is already happening. These are the subtle, often temporary clues that can happen days or even weeks before the major event. The signs that warn you a disaster is on the horizon. Learning to spot them in yourself or in a loved one is one of the most powerful things you can do for your health. This knowledge could save your life. Let's begin.
Sign 1. The thunderclap headache. The first silent warning isn't always silent, but it's almost always misunderstood. It's a sudden, excruciatingly severe headache. It's often described by survivors as the worst headache of my life. The key isn't just the pain level, but the speed. It reaches its maximum blinding intensity in under 60 seconds. That is the thunderclap. My friend Margaret, who is 72 and lives in Kentucky, was enjoying her morning coffee and reading the paper. Suddenly, she told me, it felt like someone cracked an egg inside her skull, followed by a wave of pain so intense it made her instantly nauseous. She'd had migraines her whole life, but this was nothing like them. This was, she said, a different kind of pain. Her first instinct was to go lie down, to just sleep it off. She thought maybe it was a terrible migraine or a sinus headache. Thankfully, her husband saw her face, recognized the sheer level of agony, and called 911. Margaret wasn't having a migraine. She was having a subarachnoid hemorrhage. A blood vessel on the surface of her brain had burst. This is a type of stroke. The blinding pain was her body's reaction to blood leaking out and irritating the lining of her brain. Here is the crucial difference. A normal tension headache or migraine typically builds over minutes or hours. It starts as a dull ache and gets worse. A thunderclap headache explodes into existence at peak pain. It feels like a physical blow. It can be accompanied by a stiff neck, vomiting, or blurred vision. Many people who experience this try to tough it out. They take aspirin and go to bed. That can be a fatal mistake. If you or anyone you know ever experiences a sudden onset headache that you would describe as the worst pain of your life, do not wait. This is a medical emergency.
Sign 2. Temporary vision loss in one eye. The second sign is one of the most frightening and one of the most telling. It's the sudden, painless loss of vision in one eye. It might not be a total blackout. The vision might just become blurry, dim, or grayed out. Many people describe it as a curtain falling or a shade being pulled down over one eye. And here is the most critical part. It might only last for 2 minutes, or 5, or 10, and then your vision returns to normal. This happened to my friend David, 68, from Arizona. He was driving on a sunny afternoon when the vision in his right eye just vanished, completely black. He was terrified and managed to pull over to the side of the road, his heart pounding. He sat there, covering each eye, confirming he wasn't crazy. His right eye was blind. And then, as suddenly as it left, the vision returned, flickering back to life over about 30 seconds. He felt perfectly fine. No pain, no headache. He sat for another 20 minutes, then, feeling normal again, he drove home. He told his wife he must have had some terrible eye strain from the sun. David didn't have eye strain. He had experienced a transient ischemic attack, or TIA, in his eye. Doctors call this specific symptom amaurosis fugax. A tiny clot, likely from his carotid artery in his neck, had traveled up and temporarily blocked the main artery supplying blood to his retina. The curtain falling was his retina screaming from a lack of oxygen. When the clot broke up or moved on, the blood flow returned and his vision came back. David had been given a perfect, crystal-clear warning. He didn't know that experiencing this eye stroke gives you an extremely high risk of a major brain stroke, often within the next few days. Your eyes are not separate from your body. They are direct windows to your brain and your vascular health. If a curtain ever falls over your vision, even for 1 minute, that is an alarm. It is a sign that clots are moving through your system. You must go to the emergency room. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment the number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell. Your support helps us continue to create content that can inform, protect, and empower you. Let's move on.
Sudden, severe dizziness or vertigo. This next sign is frequently dismissed as an inner ear problem or just a dizzy spell. But the difference is in the severity and suddenness. We're not talking about feeling a little woozy or lightheaded when you stand up too fast. This is a sudden, powerful, room-spinning sensation called vertigo. Or it might be a sudden, complete loss of coordination called ataxia, where you suddenly can't walk straight, as if you're instantly drunk. My friend Barbara, who is 77, was getting up from her favorite armchair to get a glass of water. As soon as her feet were planted, the entire living room began to spin violently. It wasn't just in her head, the room itself felt like it was tilting. She collapsed back into the chair, gripping the armrests, completely disoriented. She tried to stand up again, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. She couldn't find her balance. She felt terribly nauseous. She'd had minor dizzy spells before, so she just sat there, waiting for it to pass, blaming an old inner ear infection. But this wasn't her inner ear. This kind of sudden, severe vertigo, especially when combined with an inability to coordinate your movements, is a classic warning sign of a stroke in the cerebellum or the brainstem. This is the back, lower part of your brain. It's your body's control center for all balance, coordination, and movement. When a clot cuts off blood flow here, it doesn't cause the classic one-sided weakness. Instead, it causes these drunk symptoms: vertigo, nausea, vomiting, and a sudden inability to walk. This is one of the most misdiagnosed types of strokes, especially in women. The patient often looks fine. They can smile, they can raise both arms, but they cannot stand or walk. So here's the takeaway. If you or a loved one experiences dizziness so severe you cannot stand, or if the dizziness is sudden and paired with any other sign, like new blurred vision, vomiting, or trouble swallowing, it is an emergency. Don't wait for it to pass. Call 911 and tell them you suspect a stroke, possibly in the cerebellum. Sign 4. Brief, sudden confusion or word-finding trouble. This fourth sign is perhaps the most subtle and the one most often dismissed as just a senior moment. It's an abrupt episode where you suddenly can't process speech or you can't produce it. You might be in the middle of a conversation and for a minute or two you simply cannot find the words you want to say. Not in the way you forget a name, but a total blank. Or, even more frighteningly, you try to speak and what comes out is slurred or complete gibberish. This is called aphasia. My friend Frank, 81 and a passionate gardener, was telling his wife about his tomatoes. Mid-sentence, he just stopped. He looked at her with a profound look of confusion. His wife asked him, "What's wrong?" He tried to answer. What came out was the blue over chair. His wife was terrified. She grabbed his arm and asked him to repeat himself. Frank just shook his head, looking frustrated and lost. And then, about a minute later, he blinked, looked at her, and said perfectly clearly, "What was I saying?" He had no memory of the event. He didn't even know it had happened. They were both so shaken, they just brushed it off as a scary moment. Frank had experienced a TIA. The clot had temporarily blocked blood flow to his brain's language centers, areas known as Broca's or Wernicke's area. For those 60 seconds, the software in his brain for producing and understanding language had crashed. When the clot dissolved and blood flow returned, the system rebooted. This is not a senior moment. A senior moment is gradual. You hunt for a word. Oh, what's that thing, for the car, the keys? A TIA is a sudden, total crash in function, followed by a sudden return to normal. It's an on-off switch. It can also manifest as sudden confusion. You might not know where you are, what day it is, or how you got there. If this happens even for a minute, it is a sign that a part of your brain was starved of oxygen. It's a 5-alarm fire. If you're still watching, it means you're taking this seriously, and I thank you for that. Please comment the number 4 below so I know you've made it this far. Taking a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications is a small act that helps us keep this vital information accessible to everyone. Thank you.
Sign 5. The mini numbness that goes away. This last sign is the one most people almost recognize. It's the classic stroke symptom of numbness or weakness, but with a silent, treacherous twist. It goes away. You might suddenly feel your face droop. You look in the mirror, and for 2 minutes, the left side of your mouth is sagging, and then it tightens back up. You might be holding a coffee cup, and your fingers suddenly go weak. The cup drops and shatters. You look at your hand, you can't make a fist. You shake it out, and after 3 minutes, the strength returns. This is exactly what happened to my friend Susan, 69. She was washing dishes, and her left arm suddenly felt like a heavy, dead weight. It just hung at her side. She couldn't lift it. She panicked, shaking it with her other hand. After about 3 or 4 minutes of this terrifying numbness, the feeling slowly tingled back, and she could lift it again. She was badly frightened, but because the symptom left, she convinced herself it was okay. She told her daughter later that she must have slept on it wrong or hit a nerve. 2 days later,
Susan had a massive stroke that paralyzed her entire left side. What Susan experienced was the textbook definition of a transient ischemic attack, a TIA. It's not a mini-stroke. Let's stop using that term. It is a warning stroke. A clot formed, it traveled to her brain, it blocked an artery, and it caused the symptom, numbness. But before it could kill the brain tissue, her body's natural clot-busting systems managed to dissolve it, or it moved on. The blood flow returned, the symptom stopped. The warning had been served. The body was showing her, I am forming dangerous clots. I am sending them to your brain. The next clot was too big for her body to dissolve. If you ever experience a sudden, one-sided weakness, numbness, or facial droop, even if it lasts for 1 minute and then disappears, you must call 911. Do not drive yourself. Do not wait and see. Going to the ER with a TIA is the greatest gift you can receive. They can use that time to find the source of the clot. Is it your heart? Is it your carotid artery? And treat it, preventing the massive, life-altering stroke that was on its way.
Let's recap these 5 silent warnings. 1. The thunderclap headache, the worst, most sudden headache of your life. 2. The vision curtain, a temporary painless vision loss in one eye. 3. The sudden vertigo, a violent spinning or loss of coordination making you unable to stand. 4. The mental fog, a brief, sudden episode of confusion or inability to speak. And 5. The numbness that disappears, a classic stroke symptom that resolves on its own. Any one of these signs is your body's final, desperate warning. A TIA is not a mini-stroke to be ignored. It is a gift. It's a dress rehearsal for the real disaster. It's a chance to intervene. Do not waste that gift. I want you to remember that these signs are not just getting older. They are not normal. They are signals that something is wrong with the most important organ in your body. Trust your instincts. Trust your body. Be your own best advocate. In the end, it is always, always better to be sent home from the emergency room as a false alarm than to be admitted to the stroke unit because you waited too long. Thank you for joining us today. If this video was helpful, please share it with your friends, your family, your loved ones. It could truly save a life. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today, or perhaps a story of your own. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. And if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss our new content. Your support helps us continue creating these videos to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in a next video. Stay safe and be well.